Hello, Music Tech class. This is your first lesson, and we are going to learn about GarageBand and specifically how to use loops within GarageBand. Loops are the building blocks of music for somebody who wants to put a quick song together that doesn't really know too much about, say, music theory. So it's great for just having fun without having to think too much. All these loops are royalty free, meaning that it's free public domain, so the creators of the loops don't get money for every time you use it, and they are made by Apple, so they come preloaded with GarageBand, and some of them might have loops from, say, Logic that you have loaded on your computers as well. And we'll use Logic later on in the either quarter or semester. We'll figure it out, the pacing for things. But for your homepage, it might look a little bit different here. For you, I have the menu on the left. That's what I've always liked doing, and it's probably totally weird and odd to most people because they usually have it on the bottom. But find GarageBand on your computer. On the left side, you should see GarageBand, and in my case, left side. Or if you can't find it right away, just go up to the top and type GarageBand, and then you can just press enter and it'll come up for you. So the first thing that it'll do is, I guess it loaded a previous project that I had here. So I'm just actually going to close this, and this will probably pop up on for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with an empty project, and just click choose. And it has stuff about software instruments, audio instruments, or drummers. We're just going to click regular software instruments, and because we're just using the loops, so we'll hit create, and a bunch of different windows come up here. So I want to show you what the basic elements are of GarageBand. On the left side we have our library, but I'm just going to hide that for now. We have a track window. These are all your different tracks. This is the area where, say, you might have a piano, guitar, drums, and so forth. That's your track area. Inside here is your arrange window. That's where all the loops and different audio things are going. And then over on the right side, this is your media area. And I just clicked the loop button up in the top right corner here. This is Notepad if you want to write anything down. Maybe it's the lyrics of your song, or maybe a chord progression that you're thinking of. You can use that Notepad. And over here is stuff that you already have on your computer. These are just different songs and videos and stuff that I have. So what we're going to do before we do anything, this will be a huge thing in this class, is go up to hit File and then Save As. We're going to save this. So let's go to, well, I'll tell you what folder to do it in a second here, but for now I'm just going to go to my Music Tech folder, and let's all call this Lesson 1. Hit Save. Great. Periodically, we'll have to hit the File Save or Command S on the keyboard. Unlike Google stuff that we do, Google saves it automatically as you go through. This does not, so hopefully things don't crash and burn here on our school computers. But now that we have it all saved, let's talk about the other windows up the top here and what these things mean. Right here, this is technically called your top transport. Some versions had it in the bottom here for the bottom transport, but this is our transport. And you can have these different things over here. These are the bars, or you can have things labeled in time. So we can talk about time. If you're doing maybe a recording with just voices talking, time might be the more appropriate display mode. But if you're doing things with timing of music and beats and stuff, you definitely want to use the beats for music measures. So if we're in this mode over here, the bar has, each one of these are different bars, and each bar is a musical idea. And in this case, we're in the 4/4 time signature, so there's 4 beats in a measure with a quarter note equals 1 beat. Over here, you can change the different keys, and they have minor keys, major keys, but we'll just keep that same major for now. And then beats per minute. So this is how fast or slow it's going to go with the tempo. So if you click it with your mouse and raise it or lower it, it actually changes the beats per minute there. Or if you just want to type a specific one, say 112 beats per minute, hit enter, it stays. Tick marks, these are the small rehead positions there. The division, if you also put your mouse over something, it usually has a little help bar for it. So it says playhead position and then beats in here too with bars. Over here is your normal rewinds, fast forward, stop, play, and record button. Record is the red dot. That's a very universal sign. Hopefully that we all know that. Over here, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the count-ins for stuff, and this is something that kind of confuses people at the beginning. If you start to record something and you have this count-in played, it's going to give you 4 beats before it actually starts recording. We can take that off so it just goes right away. I just like to leave it on to keep it simple here. And then this is the metronome with the click. That's the thing that does that. We have a built-in tuner, and there's a cycle that we'll go through later on. We should have loops in here. So let's go through and let's figure out one of the first things to do. So I want to get rid of this first track. So let's just hit it and press delete. That takes it away. Oh, something else comes up here. Well, I think we need to add another one first before we delete that. So let's go over to our loop section up in the top transport here. And we're going to add a drum beat. So we're going to click all drums. And in this section, I want you to show you what this stuff is over here. On the left, if there's a little green box with the music note in it, that means it's MIDI information. And we're definitely going to go over what MIDI is versus audio. But MIDI, you can change things within the loop itself and maybe change a timing issue of one little bass drum, or maybe change the sound of a bass drum within that loop. But the audio is audio. It's pure sound recording, so you can't change a thing for it. It's just what exactly was recorded in the studio that single moment. On the middle side here, it's just the name of them, and there are tons and tons of beats because I have a lot of my stuff imported from Logic, and yours might have as much. If not, I don't know. But I want you to try to see if you have the things I have. If not, just try to stay within the same genre. That's our rule of thumb for now. Over here is beats. It gives you exactly what it is, how many beats there are. If I reset this and say go to jingles, look how it doesn't have beats anymore. This is time. So up in the top transport, we would set it to time, and that would give us a better idea of how things go and how that was measured. But some of these things don't really have a beat to it, so like that's a little bit different. That's not very beat heavy. That's why it's a time thing to it. So let's reset it. Let's go back to the drums, and let's pick a drum. So you can just click each one, and that gives you a preview. You can press the down arrow to get to the next preview. Some pretty neat ones here. It has tons of genres. I'm looking for maybe some like hip-hoppy. Let's see, boardwalk beat. Club dance. Oh man, there's tons and tons here. And if you're not sure, let's type in hip-hop. You could also go up to the top here and go by genre, and we can do hip-hop from here. And this gives me all the hip-hop drums that are listed. And this, again, is all royalty-free, so you don't have to pay a thing to use it. And actually some of these sounds you might find in some YouTubers' videos in the beginning because it is royalty-free and they don't have it flagged by YouTube for copyright infringement. Let's go with, let's do raise it up. Alright, so when we drag it over here, it's going to create a new track since it's not with classic electric piano. And since I see the waveforms, this means it's an audio file. Let me just drag over here real quick for you what a MIDI file looks like. Here's a green MIDI was up here. Here's some green. So you can actually see where all the notes are. And I just double clicked on this, and this is all the little notes that are attached and makes up this beat. If I click over here on the audio one, you see the audio waves for it, and it has the stereo left and right speaker. And for now, well, let's keep the MIDI one just for the heck of it. So I'm going to click that and press delete. And now that I have a track here, I'm going to delete that first one. So now I have a hip hop beat. When we go through here, there are the different things that we can do with the beats and the loops. If you put your mouse in the top right hand corner, you'll get a little swirly arrow thing, and that is the actual loop function. So if I click that and drag it out, it's just going to repeat the whole thing, so I don't have to click each loop and press copy paste. Even if you don't want to copy the whole loop, you can leave it like that, or without copying and making a loop, we can use the clip mode. It's in the bottom here, and you can actually cut it short. And if I cut it short, I can even loop that shorter one, and you see how there are smaller loop sections in the top as well. So let's go back and bring this to its full original. It was 4 measures long, and let's just loop this for a while here. Let's put it on with this 16 full measures. So let's go through now and see what else we can do. We're going to go reset this, and let's do some bass. Alright. Whoa, what was that? Let's actually go up to the top. I'm going to go through my genres. I'm going to do hip hop, and then I'm going to click bass right here. And it's hard for you to hear because it's just so low. I'm using my computer speakers. And if it is really low for you, you can actually go to the bottom and bring it up a little bit. And you know what? I don't like any of these. They seem way too... I want more of a groove, because I have a nice hip-hop groove. So, you know what? Let's just reset all this stuff, and let's go back to bass over here. And I'm just going to find a bass one that I like. And I'll actually turn this down. Alright, let's move this over here. And at this time, I definitely want you to go through and maybe pause this video and just see all the different types of loops that we have here. I just picked the first one that came to mind, honestly, but I want you to pick something that you kind of like within this genre here. So if you see, I moved it over into our arrange window, and if I click it, I can move it around to wherever I want. And notice how in the top transport, the numbers change. So right now I'm in bar 8 on beat 1. If I move it over by 1 beat, it should say beat 2. But for generally speaking, let's just keep everything on the first beat of each measure. And as you're going to discover, a lot of music has 2 measure phrases, 4 measure phrases, 8 measure phrases. So let's actually just keep this on the 3rd measure. So the hip hop beat is going to start it off for 2 measures, and then we'll come in with this. So in the top transport, we can hit the play button to hear what it sounds like, or we can also press the space bar. And you know what? I want to put that bass to go farther. Let's move that bass out here more. If I want to hear a certain section, because now I want to add a guitar part to it. So let's go through here and let's find a guitar. Where is a guitar? Here's guitars. Yeah, that's it. Definitely the one. So if I want to hear what these all sound like, I'm going to use this now up on the top here, the cycle. And if I click cycle, it's going to do these 4 measures. So let me click maybe cycle. You just click and drag, and I'm going to do those 2 measures since it has both the beat and the bass to it. So now when I press the space bar, it's just going to cycle that over and over. See how it goes back to the beginning. So I can try out these guitars in the grand scheme of things. That doesn't really move too well. Yeah, let's do this funky guitar one. So I press pause with the space bar again, and I'm going to take the cycle off so I can kind of move freely again. And I'm going to use Funky Electric Guitar 3 and throw that down. And let's bring that in exactly with the bass. And let's loop this for a while. And we have our 16 full measures now of this. And why don't you go ahead and maybe look at the other different instruments that you can put in with this. So you have a bass, a guitar, and in our case it says crystal pad, but any of the other beats or drum loops that you find. Maybe there are some cool, let's see, let's look some percussion stuff. Now as you add things, you want to use your best judgment with your ear as a listener to have stuff that's within the same genre. Most things you're not going to have a banjo playing with a heavy metal screamo band. It's not going to work. But there are some things that do carry over, say maybe orchestral strings and hip-hop. Hip-hop uses lots of orchestral things, even just sounds of famous pieces by like Beethoven or Verdi. So there are really cool genre jumps, if you want to call it that. But for your thing, all intents and purposes, let's just make it something that's all within the same genre. So let me put on my cycle again and hear what this sounds like. Press spacebar, and let's add some other things. What about a scratch? Don't like that one. I like that. So let's put a go-go bell in here. We'll add that. And you know what? We're going to clip this so it's only 1 measure long. And we'll take the cycle off so I can see better over here. So it's starting measure 5 and it goes through measure 6. Whole through measure 5, so it's 4 beats. So if you want to maybe make this every other measure, what you do is I think it's Option. Yep, Option, click, and then pull over, and it actually copies it for you. The other way you can do it is you click the loop that you want, do Command C, and then you move the tracker up here, and then hit. Whoops! See, I was on the wrong thing. I have to make sure I'm clicking on the right track on the left side, and Command V, paste it. So this is what we have so far. So I hit Enter or Return button, and it takes you back to the beginning, and let's press space to play it. Alright, I think I'm ready for a Grammy here. This is wonderful stuff. And on the bottom here, I've had this clipping and the edit window open over the whole time, you can click that out just to get the editor out. It kind of looks legit when you're playing that all the time. These other buttons over here, smart controls, and these have other things that honestly you're not really using that much unless we get to mixing and things. The library over here is another way that you can do to change the look of some of this stuff, or even the sounds for things, and that has a lot of stuff with the MIDI. But we'll take that out here. While we're at it ahead here, let's do File, Save, and we have it saved again. Please do that throughout your projects. Definitely get in the habit in that for now. On the left side over here, that has different volume adjusters, and maybe we don't want the go-go bells being that loud, so we're going to make this a little bit softer. And if we click up here in the cycle window, click and drag, right, that turns it on. And let's just cycle this section so we can get an idea of what it sounds like volume-wise. It's too loud for my taste. Better. There we go. I like that. So go ahead and just use these main volume adjusters. Later on, we're going to go with the other different automations that we can do with panning, volume control, and some other things. But for now, just kind of keep it simple. Just get used to using the shortcuts. Again, the shortcuts are going to help you with the Command-C for copy, Option clicking to make a copy of something and just moving it over within the same track, using the top loop function of each loop, and then the bottom clip for each loop. And go ahead, and I want you to go back now and let's see what we have with your first project. So now you've completed the first lesson, and let's apply it to whatever you want. So click, remember, File, Save with everything you got, and raise your hand if you have any questions. Thanks.